Hello! I'm still alive! Wow, 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 wow! It's a me, Jesse! Hi, guys. um, yeah, hi. I'm streaming a little late today. I'm not gonna beat around the bush. I feel like shit. I'm on my period, and it's painful. I'm in a lot of pain. I'm very cranky. And so we're just gonna play Risk of Rain and relax. And by relax, I mean we're gonna play it on Monsoon. So we'll see what happens and see if I can actually relax. We'll also gossip a little bit, because, you know, I love talking a lot. We could chill chat. What time am I playing? What time is it here? It's 8 p.m. my time. Which, I mean, honestly isn't that late, but I normally stream closer to like noon. Um, so it's a little late for me. But it's gonna be great. We're gonna have a good time. So let's get into it. Yeah, it do be a little late for a Jesse stream. I'm gonna make it easy. I'm gonna play on Huntress, and we're just gonna go base Monsoon, no artifacts. So, let me tell you guys about my day. Oh my god, a mountain right there. I will accept this. Yes, thank you. Okay, so I slept in late because I was in a lot of pain and I didn't get a lot of sleep this morning. I woke up at literally like 4 a.m. and my body was like, oh, die. And the cramps were just so bad that I could not fall back asleep. And so I just lived my life of laying in bed trying not to cry. So that's cool. For any men out there, I cannot describe what period cramps feels like. But just imagine that you very, very much have to shit, and you're like stuck in that excruciating pain of needing to shit but not being allowed to. That's as close as I can explain the definition of cramps. So, if anyone has a better definition, throw it down, baby. I don't feel bitter. No. I've had a very good day, actually, so like it's you know, it's not fair to whine. I do have a heat pad on right now, and I'm doing my best. But I always get very, very bad pain, so it's not like it's unexpected, I guess you could say. I guess I'm sort of used to it, but it doesn't make it not hurt. But anyway, so I got up late because I couldn't. I don't know. I like couldn't go back to sleep after I woke up at like 4, and I was very, very tired, so I finally fell back asleep probably around like 8 a.m. and then I slept until like 11. Like any good adult would, you know? And then I made my husband take me out to eat something delicious for lunch, because I really wanted something that would make me not feel like being in bed all day. So we had some steak tips that were super good with some really good french fries. They're like the perfectly seasoned fries, that there's not too little seasoning but not too much. Yeah, sometimes you just gotta sleep in, true. But so it was hella delicious. It was definitely worth going out. And then we stopped at GameStop and I bought a game, which was fun, and I bought some Pokemon figures. I don't collect a ton of Pokemon figures, but there are like certain Pokemon that I really, really like. I like Yukumuku, which is who my avatar is. Oh, I bought the game Harvestella. I think I might play it on stream. I'm unsure about how people feel about games that contain lots of farming, if it's like boring for them or not. Like I have the new Story of Seasons, and I wasn't sure if I should play it on stream because like I don't know how much people want to see me just like farming potatoes. But anyways, Harvestella at least has a little bit of fighting in it too, from my understanding. So it'll be cool. But yeah, back to what else was I saying? Fuck, I forgot. Let's see. Yeah, I went to GameStop I bought some stuff there because I also bought like a controller charger for my Switch. Oh yeah, also this morning I got a new like what would I call it? Like a computer shelf, I guess. I have carpet in my office and I wanted to lift the computer off of the carpet to give it more breathability. So I bought this little table, and then it also has a little top to it. It doesn't sit on the computer, it sits above the computer. And so I set that up today. And I put all my streaming like Switch hardware and my PS2 hardware like on top of the little cabinet table thingy. I'm bad at describing things right now, so I don't know, man. And then what else did I do? This is probably just a me thing, but I get hurt a lot, and I also have a habit of chewing my nails, my like fingernails, not my toenails. Don't worry, I'm not that weird. But so in order to kind of like stop me from doing that, I put on band-aids if I can tell that I'm like chewing one specific finger a lot or something. But I am allergic to adhesives, so I'm allergic to glues and tapes and things like that. So I don't have much option for when it comes to band-aids. There's only like a few kinds that I'm not allergic to, and most of the time they're ugly and boring, but I like cute things. And so there's a brand at Target called Welly band-aids, and they come in like this cute little tin and everything, and I'm not allergic to them. And they come with all kinds of cute designs and everything. So we stopped at Target and I bought some new band-aids, which is exciting for me but kind of stupid for everyone else in the world. And then I got ice cream. I got soft serve ice cream. I tried not to eat too many sweets, but like, you know, sometimes you just gotta feel like shit and eat some sweets. So yeah, it was actually a pretty nice day. I had some fun. Me and my husband just kind of hung out and chilled. And then when I got home, I actually watched some gameplay from a game called Venba. Oh yeah, I also nervous bite my lips. Yeah, I do the same thing. Like I like almost like peel the skin on my lips. It's fucking awful. It ends up like hurting and bleeding, and then it like, yeah, it drives me nuts. I do the same thing. I wish there was something that we could do about it. But I kind of suck, so I haven't tried anything for that. I just ignore it. And then, yeah, a game, I watched a playthrough of a game called Venba. I was trying to decide if I wanted to buy it or not, and I was unsure because it didn't seem like a lot of content, but like, it seemed very interesting. So I watched somebody play through it, and then I proceeded to weep intensely. I'll give you guys a little bit of like a rundown about it, because I don't think I'll play it on stream, but I think I am gonna end up playing it, even though I watched the full playthrough of it. If I played on stream, I might just like cry, and I don't need that. So, first of all, as a little background, I am very white as far as visually. I look like a normal, shitty white girl, like everyone else. But my mom is Cuban. My mom's 100% Cuban. Both my grandma and grandpa were Cuban. So that means I am half Cuban, even though it doesn't fucking look like it. And I don't actually speak Spanish. I had a lot of trouble learning English growing up. I had a speech problem. I had issues where I just couldn't remember words properly. I couldn't say words properly. So it wasn't really feasible for me to learn 2 languages because I couldn't even learn one, you know? So I never learned Spanish. And even when I did school, like a language in school, I was, how do you explain it? I guess I was spiteful towards my mom for sort of her heritage and culture, her background. It wasn't like I hated Spanish people or anything like that. It was almost like a jealousy thing. My grandparents and my aunt would come to visit, and my mom would talk to them in Spanish, and I would be completely shut out, you know? I couldn't, like, interact as much with— they knew English, it's just they would choose to speak Spanish. And it felt shitty. It felt like I was being blocked from the conversation, and that I wasn't welcome. And I know that's not what it was. You know, now I know that, but when I was younger, it felt like a personal attack because I was a child who was stupid. And so at the time I really took it almost personally. And so when I had to choose a language in school to learn, I chose German because I wanted to be able to talk to myself in a language that no one else could understand, so that they would feel what I felt, which is dumb. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. I don't remember where the teleporter is, but to me it felt like being able to take control a little bit and feel like I had something that they didn't, because at that point it felt like they had something that I didn't, that I wasn't welcome in. And like I said, I know that wasn't the intention behind it. Sorry, one sec, my hearing aid's making a sound. I'm getting some feedback, so I just gotta take them out. 1 second. Okay, okay. Better now. But it just, you know, I don't know. It felt like just this unfairness that I didn't like and made me feel lonely. And I didn't understand it and I didn't like it. And so it hurt, is the best way I can explain it. So, back to the game Venba. Venba, I believe it's pronounced Venba. It's basically about an Indian couple who moved to Canada for work, and once they're in Canada, they're having difficulty finding jobs, but they find out that she's pregnant. Oh, fucking wrecked me. I'm just gonna run away for a minute. They start having difficulty finding jobs, and they're tempted to like leave Canada because of this fact, but they decide to stick it out after they find out that she's pregnant, because they want better for their child. They want their child to be able to have a happy life and not like suffer with some of the instability and differences that they experience throughout their childhood. I don't have any healing items, so my health is taking its time. Let's wander a bit. And so like they decide to do that, and even when their son is young, they can tell that he doesn't really enjoy their culture, that he's embarrassed of it to some degree, because he doesn't talk about it with friends. He doesn't like really discuss it or like embrace it. He doesn't speak their like mother tongue at home, even though his parents don't speak very good English. And he just seems very avoidant of it and doesn't want it to be part of his life in a way. He's just embarrassed. So they can like tell that he'll bring his lunch home from school and not eat it at school because he's embarrassed of his food that he's eating. And the game is based around like cooking meals and the food of their culture. And so like it feels bad because like I do relate to it in some ways. And I think it's something that a lot of people with foreign parents that might not have been born in the US or may have been like a first-generation immigrant or even a second-generation immigrant, that they experience this. And it's not easy. It's wanting to fit in, but feeling so different and having that difference that's like unavoidable. You can't really fix it. Mark that for later. Because it's just part of you. And so it's basically a story about that. And it is a really great game. And yeah, it is definitely very relatable to a lot of people, because I do feel like a lot of people experience that. And I do think it's maybe a little bit better in today's day and age, but also not. How do I explain it? It's like, when I think about when I was young, people were pretty judgmental about things that they didn't understand or any differences. But I do feel that the diversity in today's world and media helps a lot with that. I'm not saying it fixes it, because you still have basically white supremacists around today teaching their kids to be like that. So it's not like 100% like fix or change in the world. Like, it's not a perfect world. But I do think it was better. It's better now than when I was a kid, at least to some degree in some factors. And so, like, it's relatable, and I really liked and enjoyed, like, the overall, like, topic and discussion. I even talked with my husband a little bit about it, because, like, he's like all white boy. I think, like, his family's been born and raised in New Hampshire for, like, 3 or 4 generations, maybe more. So, like, it's not necessarily something that he's ever experienced or really understands. And I mean, even people who it's not like a cultural difference, if you think of like a regional difference, that's a thing too, you know? Like, so it doesn't necessarily have to be like Hispanic or Indian or any of those. Oh, Nautilus. It could just be, you know, a difference in tastes and food. I remember when I lived in California, I've talked about this on stream before, it was very, very common for kids to bring ramen packets for lunch, like Top Ramen, and they would crush the ramen up and put in the sauce, the powder, the sauce flavoring powder, and shake it, and then eat it raw. I did that. I loved it. I still love it. I still do that. But when I moved out of California, and let's see, I think it was when I was in Ohio, they were like disgusted with me. Like, I remember being so embarrassed because I brought some to lunch one day, and like people literally like laughed in my face and told me I was disgusting. And like I almost cried. It was embarrassing and hurtful, you know, because like when I was in California, it was what the cool kids did. So like it was a thing that I picked up that I thought it would make me cooler. Even though I also really like the flavor. But you know what I mean? It's just like, I thought it made me like one of them in a way. And like, I feel like because of how I was raised and because of like how I grew up with like difference in food and stuff, because we had like really Central American Ohio food from my dad's like growing up, like just basic American trash. But then we had Hispanic food from my mom. And like, so because of that, I feel like I don't know, that was just the normal to me, you know? And it wasn't weird for me to see other people eating unique foods. Like, I had some Indian friends who ate Indian foods. Like, I remember them inviting me for dinner once. And like, yeah, it was something I didn't recognize, but like, I feel like I didn't make fun of them or anything. I just want to pause this and laugh and say, I don't think it was only an Ohio thing, because I definitely also had this experience with other foods in other states. Because I remember, I think Florida, I also got shit for some of the food that I ate. Because Florida, nobody had heard of fluff. You know, like peanut butter and fluff sandwich. No one had heard of that. So like, it was again another thing where they're like, you're eating what? Marshmallows with peanut butter? That's gross. So like, it was something that I experienced multiple times with different foods and stuff. And because I moved so often, like I did interact with a huge variety of people. And so I had a lot of different foods. I ate a lot of different foods. I liked a lot of different foods. I will say my parents did not eat fish when I was growing up. So like, sushi wasn't a thing that I experienced until I was in my early teens. I ate it with a friend. But I was never like against it. It wasn't like something where I was like grossed out and I made fun of it. And so I think it's hard because when I look at my life, because of how I grew up, I didn't have that bias towards other people and the foods that they ate. I mean, yeah, there's foods that I don't like. There's particular smells that I really don't like, but that I'll eat like the food. And it's good. It's just the smell like puts me off. I have a very sensitive nose. But like, I think the way that this game portrayed it and the the fact that they focused it around food was a really, really smart thing. Because food is something that's easy for people to understand and relate to. It's something that's easy for people to look at and say, that looks tasty. So in the game, a lot of the foods look really delicious. And so it kind of opens your world. Because like, I think when you look at food and you say, oh, that looks good, you instantly see it as food, you know? When you look at food and you don't think it looks appetizing, you see it almost as alien or like an inhuman thing. Like, I hope that makes sense. Like, no digs at anyone. It's just like certain foods don't necessarily look appetizing, but the foods that they chose for the game, they do look very appetizing. So they give you this feeling of wanting to try them and feel more relatable to them. So even if you aren't necessarily somebody of a varying culture, you still can look at it and semi-relate to it to some degree. Just because of your understanding of food looking tasty means food tasty, you know? But anyways, I do think it's a really good game. I might still play it on stream just because it is something that I feel very connected with. Like, the thing was, is as I was watching this, I was like crying because I'm on my period, but also because it made me think of my mom. And I remember, like, I did go through one phase that I remember very clearly when I was young. The thing is my mom's meals, the Hispanic food that she cooked, often was chicken-based. It was often the main meat and protein in it was chicken. It was a lot of chicken and rice, which is fine. I like chicken and rice. But I feel like I get tired of food very easily. Like, my husband could eat peanut butter and jelly every day for like fucking 2 years and be fine. I can't do that. I need variety in my meals. And so when I was younger, we ate so much chicken that I would just get like burnt out of chicken. I just couldn't do it. Like, I just did not want chicken anymore. And I would get so frustrated because I'd want fucking basic bitch American hamburgers. I want Hamburger Helper. I want like meat that's different than chicken. Like, it was just hard for me to understand that like chicken's cheap. It's easy to cook. You can make a wide variety of things with it. You know, you can use it in a lot of different ways. And I didn't understand that. All I knew was I was tired of chicken. And so I remember just like being really shit to my mom because I was frustrated at the fact that like all we ate was chicken and I'm tired of chicken and can't we have anything other than chicken? Don't you know how to cook anything other than chicken? And I was a little asshole. And I regret it so much because I now understand it better. And then I remember very distinctly like going from having my mom's cooking to living by myself and having to fend for myself and suddenly not being able to eat the things that I was used to. The best way I can explain it is like, okay, you're in college, you want to eat cheap, easy food. What do you cook? You cook frozen things, you cook pizzas, you cook things that you can easily just microwave and throw in there. You can't do that with Cuban food. Like, the problem is it's not something that's like sold in grocery stores in New Hampshire. If I was in Florida, it'd be a slightly different story. But in New Hampshire, you can't go to the grocery store and find croquettes. You can't go to the grocery store and find yellow rice. Like, those are things that aren't sold readily available to me. And so it makes finding something that I'm used to difficult. And I didn't realize that I would miss my mom's cooking so much. I'm gonna die, fucking bitch. Sir, can you fuck right off? Ah! 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 Oh! Ah! Oh, that was close. You guys go away. I need to heal. I need you to leave so I can heal. Come on, heal, 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 heal. Okay, I've healed a bit. Come on, come on. Keep going, keep going. Woo! Okay, we're a little bit better now. Sorry guys, I got distracted. But like, I didn't realize how hard it would be to only eat like basic bitch things like pizza and chicken tenders. And I suddenly like realized that I really missed my mom's cooking. I really missed all of those things that I was used to. Those nostalgic routine things, those things that like made me feel safe and at home. And it was really hard to like suddenly be unable to feel that comfort. And it wasn't even something that I could buy, you know? It's not like, oh, my comfort food's like fucking, I don't know, lasagna or something that I could buy like a frozen lasagna. It's like something that you can't find. Yeah, I know. I feel like I'm making myself cry again. But so it was just very hard. Like I remember being in school and just feeling completely lost to some degree because I felt like I was living in someone else's world and I had nothing to kind of like hold me down. I guess I don't know. If you're ever depressed, you can sometimes feel this like floaty feeling where you just feel like you're floating away and you're losing reality. It's hard to explain other than that. But like I feel like I just lived in that state of not feeling okay because I didn't have anything that felt comfortable, that felt normal to me. And I don't think I've even told my mom this stuff, so like, Mom, if you're watching, I'm really sorry for all the shit that I did, and how awful I was, and how trash I was. But anyways, while I was watching this gameplay, I was like weeping, like I said, and at that time my mom actually messaged me, and I had mailed my mom, I had bought some pins and had them mailed to my mom. I buy a lot of stuff from small sellers, from like artists that I enjoy and stuff like that. And so I had bought these pins for my mom that were it's one that says bilingual and it's one that says yo habla español, because my mom is bilingual and I thought she could wear it at work on her badge or her like name tag, and because she lives in South Carolina, I believe. I can never remember which Carolina it is. I'm trash. I think it's South Carolina. Yeah, I know, it's hard because like even like thinking about like your parents cooking in general, I think there are definitely things that everyone's parents make that's just not available and that like maybe you get used to and you miss when you go off to school, and there's that loneliness, regardless of if it's you know a Hispanic or cultural meal or you know something from your childhood that you just remember and relate to, you know. In the game, there's a specific sort of reference to when he was sick, a meal that his mom made him that like made him feel, oh god, these guys are fucking me up. It made him feel so much better, and it was a really important memory for him. And like that's stuff I think about too. Like when I was sick, what did my mom make for me? You know, she made me Goya brand black bean soup, which is not something that's very normal for a lot of people to eat. I would say that it's not common for like super white people to eat black bean soup. And Goya brand specifically is like the best brand ever. So if you ever get a chance to buy Goya brand black bean soup, it is very good, and I do like it a lot. If you like black beans, you'll like it. Oh, I forgot I got the new mushroom. I was standing there waiting to heal, but I've got the new one that lets me heal while running. I'm stupid. Anyways. But yeah, it is, oops. It is just sort of a thing that you realize when you leave your parents, regardless of, you know, your culture, race, ethnicity, whatever. And it's hard. And so, like, I had bought my mom these pins. Sorry, I keep getting sidetracked and just repeating how sad I am. I'm so garbage. But anyways, I had bought my mom these pins because I had seen them and they were very pretty as far as their design goes, and I just thought of her and I really wanted to, like, get her something. And I do that a lot, where I just find something and I'm like, I want to gift this to her, or I want to send this to my brother. Because my love language is gift giving. And I like being able to look at things and be reminded of a person and know that they'd love it. And so she got the pins today, but I didn't tell her they were coming. so she got this, like, weird fucking package in the mail, and she sent me a message and she was like, did you send me some weird shit again? Because, like, since they're coming from small sellers, a lot of the time the packaging's, like, really weird or really shit, and sometimes it comes from, like, another region, so sometimes it'll be, like, stuff from Finland or the Netherlands or Ukraine, you know, like all kinds of weird places. And so she's always like, what the fuck did you do this time? And so she messaged me asking if I had sent her something, and I messaged her back being like, yeah, I sent you something. And then I immediately called her because I was watching the gameplay at that moment, and I was literally, like, crying about how sad I was that I missed my mommy and that I was, like, a bad child who didn't treat her well enough and didn't, like, appreciate her. Oh no! The tears! I told you guys I'm on my period, I'm very emotional. No, but, like, I feel like everyone experiences this when they get a little bit older. At least to some degree, maybe not their parents, but at least they're someone in their family, whether it be a sibling or a close friend. There's, like, this moment of realization of how important that person was to your life, and how you haven't told them that, and you haven't made sure that they know what they mean to you. And, like, I have this happen all the time. And, like, I call my mom. Oh, I'm sorry. It's, like, it's definitely a thing that, like, I feel like everyone feels sometimes. So if you're crying with me, just remember, you know, you can always call and just tell them, say hi, you know, whoever you're thinking about or, like, wanting to be around. But, like, I'm sure they'd be happy to hear it. Because I know, like, I started talking to my mom about the pin, and then I told her I was really glad she messaged me because I was thinking about her, and then I told her about the game, and then I cried. And she was very happy because she was happy that I was thinking about her, and she knows that when I was growing up that I wasn't the most fond of some of the things that she cooked and how it made me feel compared to, like, people that I knew, and stuff like that. And so, like, it's, you know, it's I think she was really happy to hear that, like, I cared and that I do think about those things and kind of have regrets around it in a way. And, like, the thing is like, now I do cook those meals. Like, I'll still call her sometimes. I'll be like, how do I cook yellow rice? How do I cook that meal that you make with all the rice and the Vienna sausages? How do I cook this? How do I do this? You know? Like, how do I cook mojo pork? You know, like, like all of these questions and these meals. And, like, I still, even though I've cooked them a couple of times, and by a couple of times I mean, like, probably a couple hundred, like, I'll still call her because I just want her to tell me. Like, I might know it, but I just want her to tell me. When I was younger, I never wanted to, like, cook with my mom. I never wanted to, like, help with dinner. I never wanted to be involved. I just wanted to play games and draw and be left alone. And so, like, I feel like I've neglected my parents. I've neglected my mom. And there's a lot of guilt around that. and like just regrets. I mean, it's hard because like I don't know that I'd want things to be different because I'm actually very happy with the person I've become, and I don't know if I would appreciate her as much if I had gone through it differently, if I had, you know, appreciated her at the time. I know that sounds backwards, but like I don't know that I would really understand it as much. It might just be like a small thing in my life versus what a big thing it is now. I feel like it's very hard for me to, just because when I was growing up, like I said, I'm a very white girl. I'm very pale. I don't look Hispanic at all. I don't speak Spanish. So when I would like mention to people that like I was half Cuban, I would get a lot of shit. People would make fun of me. They'd tell me I was lying. They'd be like, "Oh, then speak Spanish." And it's like, "Oh, well, I can't." And so, like, I feel like because of those things, I just sort of fought against it and just sort of almost left it behind because it was too much effort to try to prove to people that I was, like, a valid person, that I was allowed to be who I was. And I don't know. It was just a lot growing up. I don't regret any of it, like I said, but I do hope that my mom understands now how much I appreciate her. A grove tender! There's like my tattoo! Because it's hard. I can't imagine the amount of suffering my mom must have experienced because of all my bullshit, because of my mistreatment of her, because of my lack of understanding where she was coming from. And like, I feel like my mom probably to some degree experienced the same thing I experienced, but on a harsher scale. Because my mom's a second generation immigrant. Her parents came here from Cuba. She was born and raised in the US, in New York. So like, she had a much different experience with her childhood. But at the same time, she was in a neighborhood with a lot of Hispanic people and a community there to support her and be with her. A lot of her friends were also Hispanic, so like she had a different experience growing up than what I did. But like, it doesn't invalidate either one of our experiences. Yeah, we experience things differently, but we both had that sort of issues with our culture and growing up and how we viewed family and, you know, things around our family and our sort of lives. Ah, he really yeeted me. But yeah, I guess I know a lot of the people who watch my streams might be younger or the same age as me, but just, you know, remember that, like, even if you didn't have the best parents in the world, even if your childhood wasn't great, like, I'm sure there are parts of it that you appreciate, and you don't have to tell a person that they're the best person in the whole world, or that you, like, think they did everything right, because everyone fucks up and makes lots of mistakes. But just remember the important parts. Remember at least some of the good things. I don't get along well with one of my parents. I think they're probably, like, the worst person in the world. But, like, I still remember good things from my childhood, and I try really hard to just focus on those things, and ignore the bad stuff, because like those are the things that matter. When I have kids, I'm gonna tell them about those things, not the bad things, and I'm gonna make sure that they understand where they come from and like what their grandparents were like and how I grew up and all those things, because I want them to understand like everything that went into their life, you know? Because if I look back on it, like, literally, my grandma and grandpa came over on a boat from Cuba. like that's a big fucking deal. My mom, my aunts, they all grew up in an area where they weren't living the best lives. They were struggling every day, you know, just to make it work. And like, I'm only here now because of everything everyone else has been through. And I should be happy about that. And so yeah, I don't know. Lots of babbling. My point is, the game itself made me think a lot on just my life. and my feelings towards my parents and my family in general. And it made me just sort of appreciate a lot of that I may not always appreciate and think about. That may be things that like I leave on the back burner and don't talk about a lot. So yeah. I'll play it on stream. Maybe I'll play it tomorrow. Now I feel like I have to. Hey. No, but it does seem like a very good game. And the foods looked really tasty. But I think it's just one of those things that like, because it relates to me a lot, I feel very connected to the game, and I feel like it had a very big meaning for me. So yeah. Babble, babble, babble. Game make me sad. Game make me happy. Yeah, right. Well, I mean, I just feel like it's one of those things, honestly, that I just can't help but like feel like everyone would appreciate this game regardless of where they come from or like how they grew up. So I do want to share it with people. I do think that'd be good if I could open their eyes to that stuff. And I don't know. Like I said, I don't have the best parents. One of my parents is really awful, and I have a lot of bad memories of them. But it made me think of a lot of the good memories as well. So yeah. Enough weeping. No more being little bitch babies. No, but I'm gonna die! Ah! That was close. I wasn't paying attention. I forgot I'm playing on Monsoon, so I have to be careful and actually like not die. But yeah, it looks like a really good game. It's funny because I've been playing Eco and I've been playing Story of Seasons. And so like I've just been playing like farming sims and like basic bitch games. So like to suddenly watch somebody playing something, whoa, fuck me, that really got me with that hit. Like that man is strong. Oh, am I gonna die? He cooked me. He cooked my ass. Woo, girl. I need more healing items. Yeah, right? Need a couple minutes to compose myself too. I'm like still trying to remember to breathe and get all the snot out my face. But yeah, it definitely gave me the feels hard. I know when I play it, it'll give you guys the feels too. I'll probably talk about all this same stuff again. And like, just my childhood struggles. Cause like, I don't know. I had a lot of difficulty growing up because of the fact that I moved so much growing up. Like, I didn't live in any place for like longer than 2 years. Like, we moved like every 2 years. That's a lot to put on a kid. That's really difficult. It's a lot of stress. It's a lot. Oh shit, boy's gonna wreck me. It's a lot of meeting new people, having to deal with new people, having to deal with that whole shindig of like, you're the new kid in town, everyone's gonna bully you and treat you like shit. Everything's very difficult and hard. Oh, I have to scratch my nose. Everyone's gonna treat you weird because you're the weird new kid in town. You know, like that whole shebang was like something that I experienced every 2 years. And that's a lot. That's a lot to deal with. And I do think to some degree I had some spitefulness towards my parents for making me go through that. I felt like it was their fault that they had put me in that position and not really given me an option. I was stuck moving because of them. I constantly felt like I was losing my friends. I would get to know people and then they would just disappear from my life. And that's hard. When I was young, it was before internet was like super popular. So like, how do you keep in contact with people? You know? You don't. You move and your friends are gone. That's it. They're not your friends anymore. They move on. You move on. Your life changes. Things are different. And that's not easy. It's hard and it hurts a lot. And it is very lonely. So I think I just had some spiteful rage against my parents for putting me through that. And I didn't understand at the time the reason why we were moving so often. My dad was a secret spy. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. I couldn't help it. No, it was, you know, my dad's job. He would move jobs and we'd have to move to keep up with the job. If we didn't, we wouldn't have money. I wouldn't be able to survive, you know? And that's something hard for a kid to understand. And that's something hard to like live with every day, of just knowing like you're not the same as everyone else and you have to constantly start over. You could tell us your dad worked for the FBI. I wish that would be cool. But like, it just, I wasn't the same as everyone else. Like people have told me before of like their childhood friends, they're like long-term friends that they've been with, like friends with since they were little. Like, I am so jealous of the concept of that. Because I never got to experience it. The longest I had friends was for 2 years. That didn't change until I was in high school. And then it was one person, it was one friend who stayed in contact with me. And like the rest of my friends, yeah, we'd still be Facebook friends, but they never talked to me. They never checked to see how I was doing or asked me like what I was doing or anything like that. It was always just, I existed, they existed, we were separated by that, like the distance. And like, that sucks so much. And it kind of puts you in a position where you have no choice but to rely on your family, and like, they're the only ones you have. But even then, I didn't feel like I had that, you know? My sister and me did not get along very well. She's very different from me. My brother and me didn't get along very well until later in life. I was alone. I feel like I'm being depressing again, but like, you know, it's just true. It wasn't easy, and I did feel really alone and really like devastated by just not having anything that I could rely on consistently. And so when I got older, I kind of realized that like my parents were the closest that I had to that. They weren't perfect, of course, but they were better than nothing. You know, it was better than like being forever alone. It was what I had. And I mean, things are a little different now, but they're also not. Like, I mean, when I look at it, like, I still have my lovely, wonderful husband, who I love dearly, who is the only person I kept in contact with, and I was able to get to keep in contact with me after leaving high school. Everyone else just did the thing where they disappear into the abyss, which is fine. I mean, everyone grows up and changes and may not necessarily like the same people or do the same things. But like, it's rough, you know? I think we all just want to feel like we fit in and we exist and matter, and that's not always easy, but I mean, you know, I'm just being depressing, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna continue talking about how sad I am. But no, it's just, it's something I think about a lot when I was, when I think back to when I was a kid. Like, I struggled and I had a very difficult time. And then on top of that, like I said, I had a lot of speech problems. I had a lot of issues in school. I wasn't good at math at all. I was like good at the arts. I was okay with like science and history and stuff, but like I wasn't a great student at all. I didn't like the difficulty that school entailed. Because like the thing was, again, I moved every 2 years. Every state has a different curriculum they follow based on your age, your grade, all of those things. They have different rules, they have different expectations of what you learn. And so you end up with lots of gaps, lots of repeating information, lots of discrepancies in the knowledge that you have versus the people who have continually been there the whole time. And people call you stupid. But what they don't understand is you're not stupid. You just missed that stuff, you weren't taught it. You know? And that shit sucks. That shit's hurtful. Like, having somebody tell you you're stupid because you, like, didn't learn the same things as them at the same time as them, oh, that sucks. You know? It's very hard. You find your things that you're good at, and you kind of stick with those things. And it's like, why bother trying to be good at anything else? People are just gonna treat you like shit and make fun of you anyways. So it's, I don't know. Childhood was hard, and it still makes me sad to this day that I suffered in the way that I did. And I wish that I appreciated my family more at the time, because it was all I had. And I definitely didn't treat them like that. But yeah, that's my depression. No, but you guys understand, I'm sure. It's a hard life out there, and we all handle it different. And sometimes we cope in bad ways, make mistakes, and we have to learn from them, and we have to grow as people. We become different people because of it. Well, look at me now! I'm an adult child who plays video games! Whoop 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 whoop! No, but you know, I do feel that I'm happier in life than I thought I would be. Fuck, it's another one of these guys. I just wanted somebody who wasn't gonna destroy me. But yeah, so even when you guys go off to college or you move into your own place, just remember that it's okay to like miss your parents. It's okay to call them and tell them you miss them. It's okay to tell them that you're lonely and you're sad. It's okay to need people. It's completely okay to need people. I think that's something that I wish that I was more okay with when I was living alone. I didn't want to be too reliant on my parents because I felt like it meant I was failing at being an adult and living alone. But it doesn't mean you're failing. It just means that, you know, you appreciate them and you want them in your life, and that's okay. Yeah, it's hard because, like, growing up, I hated my family. I felt like they betrayed everything I had. They put me in such a shitty position. I was alone because of them. I was hurt and treated badly because of them. And I put all of the blame on them. But, like, when I look at it now as an adult, I realize that they were just doing what they thought was right and what they could do. And it sucked, and, like, they didn't like it either. You know? Like, it wasn't like I was the only one losing all my friends, like, they also were losing their friends. And do you know how much harder it is to make adult friends? Like, fucking terrible. It's terrible! I'm an adult and I have no friends! No, but it's... You do what you think is right. In the game that I was talking about earlier, Venba, what they did that they thought was right is they left India and they came to the US because they thought it would give their child, not the US, I'm sorry, Canada, because they thought it would give their child a brighter future. They thought it was the right thing to do, and it was difficult for them, and they felt alone, they had a hard time, and like, I think that looking at it that way and thinking about it just made me realize that maybe my parents didn't do this to spite me. Maybe they didn't do this knowing that it was hurting me. Because that's how I always looked at it. That they wanted me to suffer, almost. That they didn't care about how I felt. And I think that I think that they did care, they just didn't understand the amount that it impacted me. And they had to weigh the pros and cons, and they made a choice. And yes, it probably wouldn't have been the choice that I made, but at the time, it was the best choice they had. You know, nowadays, there's tons of remote work. But back when I was young, there was no such thing. I remember at one point during my childhood, we were living in Pennsylvania, I believe, and my dad was working in New York, I think. That's not a step down the street, you know? He was getting up super early in the morning and he was like riding a train to New York to work. And like that's a big fucking commute. And like it wasn't easy for him either, but like I didn't look at that part of it. And like yeah, I still think my dad's an asshole and I still hate him for many reasons. But when I look at those things and I think about the differences in my understanding now versus then, it has really changed how I feel about those things. Like I said, I still think that if I was put in that position, I would make a different decision. But I'm a different person, you know? And it's okay to not want the same thing as your parents. It's okay to be in that place where you would have made a different decision. But it doesn't mean that they didn't care and that they weren't trying to do what they thought was best for you. It just means that maybe they didn't see things the way that you do, and maybe their pros and cons list was different. I mean, if we look at my husband and I's comparison to work, our jobs, you know, I've changed jobs pretty regularly, but I work remote, so it's not a big deal. And I changed jobs for an increase in pay and a better work environment. My husband hasn't changed jobs in like, I don't know, like 6 years. Actually, I think it's been like more than that, probably 7. And that's fine. He's comfortable with that, but it's not something that I would do, and I don't feel comfortable with it as far as my life goes. Oh shit, this man's about to cook me. And like, that's okay. We're different people, and we have different decisions, and we have different things that we find important. When I look at my job, I think the things that I find important are, you know, a flexible work schedule, a reasonable boss, good pay, I need to feel like I am smart in the job and not like I'm an idiot, because if I feel like I don't understand it too much, then I feel like a complete failure and I go into like a deep depression. No, just die. You're so close to being dead. Can you just fucking die, please? Okay, thank you. Sorry. But for my husband, his needs are different. He wants stability, he wants comfort, he wants normalcy, something he's used to. He doesn't necessarily want change that often in his career. And so, like, we both make different decisions on what we want. We both have different opinions on that. So, like, yeah, my parents made a different decision because they had different pros and cons than what I have. And, like, it's not fair of me to hate them for those decisions, because I don't know how they felt at that time and in that place and why they made that choice. And even if I knew, I might not agree with it, but it's still the best that they thought they were doing the best that they could. And I think thinking about it that way has really like drastically affected how I view them and how I feel about it. But I still think it's okay to hate your parents. I still have a lot of problems with my dad. I still feel like he's done some really shit things in my life. I don't feel like he was ever really there throughout the majority of my childhood. Like, he never like came to like art things that I had at school, or like parent-teacher conferences or any of those things. It was always my mom. He never picked me up from school when I was sick. He never took me to... He promised once to take me to a baseball game, and he never took me. he canceled at the last minute for work. And so, like, yeah, those things still make me angry. They still hurt to this day. But again, it's one of those things where I try to think about it to some degree from his perspective, but I still can be mad at him for those things. I could still hate him for the fact that he made me feel let down, for the fact that he made me feel like his least favorite child. I can still hate those things. That's fine. But I also to realize that it's not, everything's not as cut and dry as I thought it was growing up. And everything's not surrounded by how I feel, you know? I matter, but not as much as I think I do. That sounds awful, but what I mean is, like, it's unfair for me to expect that my parents would choose to make less money and not be able to pay our bills because I want to keep my friends in kindergarten, you know? Like, that's unrealistic and stupid, and yeah, I can be angry that I lost those friends and I can feel hurt about it. But realistically, like, I also realize that it's not that cut and dry, you know? So yeah, I don't know. Lots of babbling, lots of words, lots of sadness. Almost died. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to make everyone have an existential crisis. Oh, I'm about to get fucked! Sorry guys, I'm like laughing at myself. But yeah, it's just something I think about, and like specifically today with watching that gameplay and everything, it's made me think about it a lot and just feel a lot of things. I hope that I can, yeah, right, too late, crisis is initiated. I hope that one day my kids will hate me as much as I hated my parents. Oh, that sounds so shit, but like, I don't know. It almost makes me feel like I don't know. Stop laser beaming my ass! I'm about to get wrecked so hard. But yeah, I don't know. As I've gotten older, my thoughts on everything has changed so drastically that I want it to change for other people too. You don't have to call your parents and tell them how great and wonderful they are, because like I said, it's okay to still hate them or like be frustrated by them not like taking you into consideration. Because like as a kid you do feel like everything surrounds you and your life is more important because they've already had time to live theirs and they're old and shitty. But like, you know, I'm old and shitty now. My parents were my age at one point, and I probably treated them like shit at this point. Yeah, you might need a therapist after this for sure. I need a therapist before and after this as well. Can you stop, like, destroying me, man? I need you to just fucking eat shit and die. But yeah, I don't know. I do hope that it, like, opens your eyes to think about things a little bit different, maybe. Or to, like, maybe give them the chance to not be so shitty. Or any of those things. Maybe just talk about why they did those things. Because I think that's something, too, is, like, I've talked with my parents now about, like, why they made the decisions they made and, like, how they came to the conclusion that that was the best option in certain cases. And it's not what I thought, is the best way to explain it. Is like, it's not as simple as I thought. Things are different than what I believed. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like for sure I'm gonna die before I get to the end of this, by the way. They are way stronger than I am. Oh, he's about to wreck my ass in the shade. I only have one drone left and it's about to die. It's dead. But yeah, I don't know what else to babble about now that I'm sad. I don't know, I guess I could talk more about my childhood. I don't know, I feel like I had a hard time because I was very different from, like, the kids around me. Like I said, oh yeah, hydration's important. Actually, you made a good point. I haven't drank water at all in the last, like, 2 hours. Sippy sippy baby. Okay. I don't know, I grew up very different than a lot of my peers growing up. I think it really benefited me personally, but I also think there's parts of it that are kind of like weird. You guys fucking die, please. Because I moved so often, I got really used to reading people's faces. The tears, right? What do you think I'm drinking? It's all tears, baby! Salty! No, but I got really used to reading people's facial expressions. One of the things that a lot of people don't think about when you move around so often is that, like, body language and vocals and, like, slang and stuff is all different depending on the regions that you're in. It's not easy. I feel like a lot of people think the US is just like everyone's exactly the same. They're all a bunch of valley girls, and that's not that's not how it is. And so, like, when you move, there's this thing where you have to very quickly learn how the people in the area function and, like, what words they use and, like, how their reactions are and like you have to feel it out, basically. You have to get a feel for the area and the people and so that you can essentially feel safe to communicate with people there. I don't know. I know it makes sense to me, but I don't know if it makes sense what I'm saying. It's like it made it very easy for me because I knew how to read people's faces and body language really well. I didn't have to necessarily listen to their words as much. And I also, like I said, I had a speech problem, and I know now that I had, like, an audio processing issue where, like, information doesn't always, like, make sense or come out properly. And so, like, I had to use certain tools to be able to function like a normal person and be able to cope with the differences and variety in different areas and living in different places. So I think that taught me a lot about understanding people. It's put me in a spot where I'm really good at, like, handling arguments and disagreements of any kind because of the fact that, like, I can see things from both perspectives very easily. It's very easy for me to empathize with other people and for me to understand where they're coming from and their viewpoints on things. And so it makes it easier for me to be able to help in arguments because I can understand both sides of it. So, like, I do feel like it's taught me a lot and it's been actually really good for me. I also feel like, I don't know, like I said, I know people from all over the world now. I know people from every state. Yeah, I also cry during arguments a lot, but it's like the overwhelming inability to, like, word things that becomes frustration and becomes tears for me. So sometimes my words get stuck and I can't get my words out. I stutter a lot when I'm having arguments and stuff. But it's easier for me to help diffuse arguments between other people. I think that's a better way to put it. when it's an argument with me, I can still empathize with the other party, but they can't necessarily do the same for me, so it's still very difficult to deal with those sorts of scenarios, just because you can't make someone understand something when you're arguing with them. When I'm a third party, that I'm uninvolved in the argument, it's much easier to it's much easier to make somebody understand, because they're not looking at me as the attacker or the aggressor or the person that they're arguing with. They're looking at me as an outside source, an outside party, and so they're more likely to listen to my opinions and my statements on the discussion or the argument. Whereas when I'm the one in the argument and the person is mad at me, they don't want to listen to what I have to say, because they just think that I don't understand them, or that I'm stupid. So I agree, having arguments with people is much more difficult, but I think helping other people who are having arguments is much easier for me. But, you know, I'm still not perfect. I still fuck up. I'm still garbage! But I do think that, like, having moved around a lot, I've learned a lot about people and from people that, like, I wouldn't have learned if I didn't move often, if I didn't have those experiences in life. So I think I've come to sort of appreciate it to some degree, because of everything that it's done for me. Sorry, hiccups. But I still hate it also, because I feel like my life would have been a lot easier if I was able to stay in one place. But at the same time, like, it's really nice to fuck up and then just, like, move and not have to worry about anyone knowing about you fucking up. You know? Nobody knows that you accidentally peed your pants in high school, you know? Nobody knows that you purposefully peed your pants in high school. No, I'm just kidding. But you know what I mean. It allows you to have this sort of anonymousness. I don't know how to word that in a sort of a different way. What's the word? I don't know how to say that word. You know what I'm trying to say. Did I see the teleporter already? Are these particles over here? No, these are sparklies. Oh, it's over there. I see those sparkles. Okay. But yeah, it gives you that ability to sort of just drop everything and start over new. And to some degree that is really nice. But I also think it's made me have a difficult time with relationships with people, because of the fact that, like, I just almost have this assumption that they're gonna abandon me. I think the internet has helped a lot with that, because, like, I do get the chance to be able to hold on to people for longer. And there's also this thing. The thing is the friendships that I really love are very specific in their type. It's a friendship where I can stop talking to a person for months on end, even years, and then I message them, and it's like we were never apart. We're just immediately step back into it like no big deal. Those are the best friendships. Those are fucking great. I have a friend like that from New York, Alyssa. If you're watching, you're amazing. I love you. I have a lot of internet friends like that. I mean, this past year, last year, I just disappeared essentially from the internet that I had previously been very active in. And, like, I still feel like most of the people in that community and area, I can just message and be like, hey guys, how's it going? And they'll just immediately accept me again. Oh, I'm about to get fucked. Ooh, look at me burning my ass off. Ooh, ooh, bleeding to death. But so I really like that type of friendship. I don't like, I don't know what else to call them other than, like, super needy friendships, where, like, if you don't message somebody for a month, they're like, oh, you must hate me, I never want to speak to you again. You know, just because, like, I don't know, I have this thing where I just sort of disappear for a bit, and it's not because I dislike a person or anything like that. It's normally because I'm depressed. I have depression, and sometimes I just need to, like, not exist. And, like, I don't see a problem with that. It should be okay for me to just not exist sometimes. I shouldn't need to do like a daily check-in I don't know. That probably sounds shitty because I do love my friends. It's just, I feel like I don't want somebody relying on me that much to where they feel like they can't do anything without me being there to talk to them. That they feel like lost in their life without me. I think that also stems a little bit from my depression and the fact that, like, to some degree, if anything happens to me, I don't want anyone to, like, be devastated by it. It's just sort of the like, if I disappear, I want you guys to be okay. But also, if I suddenly come back, I want you to love me. No, it's, I don't know. I do feel bad about it, but yeah, it makes sense in my head and it makes sense to me, and I think that's the important part. But I do know that not all of my friends are like that, and for anyone who feels like I've abandoned them, I'm really sorry. It's not purposeful. It's just sometimes I need to go away. I need to not think about anything. I need to be away from the things that bring me stress, the things that hurt me and make me sad. And like, I'm not saying that you guys hurt me and make me sad. I'm saying that, like, I just need to not think about anything and just, like, have space. I think I get overstimulated very easily, and for me, I like allow that to happen, and then I need a long-term reprieve from it, that I just need to, like, not speak to anyone for months on end. And I'm okay with that. Although I know it's not normal. I feel like it's not normal for anyone but me. But, like, it's fine. But yeah, I'm glad that I have the friends that I do. I'm glad that they can understand where I'm coming from. And I'm glad that, like, it's not the end of the world if I disappear for a bit. And, you know, I'm just glad that I'm not the shittiest person. Because I do often feel like, oh, I'm gonna get fucked. Oh, I'm gonna get absolutely fucking annihilated. Watch me get my ass handed to me, guys. Here it comes. I don't need this butthole. It's gone. But yeah, I don't know. I think that my childhood has kind of put me in that position of, like, being okay with people abandoning me. And I think abandoning is probably a bad word too, because it's not really abandoning. It's like, it's easy to lose contact with people. And especially if you don't live in the same area, it's not like you're going to see them every day. So, like, internet friendships have really changed my life in that way. But I don't know. I feel like I'm just repeating the same things over and over again, but that's okay. I just feel like I want other people to know that it's okay to be like this, because I don't think it's often said that it's okay to, like, feel this way. It's okay to sometimes just disappear. It's okay to, like, sometimes need space, and it's okay to, like, abandon friends. That's probably the one that's, like, hardest for people. It's okay to cut people out of your life. I don't know, sometimes you have to. I feel like that's a really hard lesson to learn. And it's not something that, again, is very discussed. But sometimes you have to cut people out of your life, and you have to move on, and you have to realize that not everyone's good for you, and it's okay to just kind of, like, let people go. Especially if they're treating you poorly, or they're saying awful things, or they're not helping your mental health, or, I don't know, they're stealing money from you, whatever the reason. You're allowed to cut people off and just abandon them. It's not as terrible as it sounds. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents on it. I don't know. Who am I to tell you anything of value? I'm just a useless adult. I don't even know if I can consider myself an adult sometimes, I wonder. I think I'm just living every day as best I can, and I want people to understand the lessons that I've learned through my life, because I hope that it'll help them to be able to not make the same mistakes. But I also understand that sometimes people just need to make mistakes themselves. Oh, fuck me, I died! But yeah, this is me dying in a monsoon run. That man just spiked the shit out of me. He just zapped me with his little stabby boy, and I was annihilated. Monsoon's really hard, so like I'm not the best at it anyways. I'm just gonna click continue, otherwise they're gonna keep pounding on my corpse. But anyways, I've babbled a lot. Like I said, I've been on my period. I'm in a lot of pain and I'm very like weepy and emotional, so I'm sorry if I scarred anyone. But I think that these are good times to kind of talk, because it's a time where you maybe aren't feeling the best, but you think about things a lot and you sort of question life. That sounds terrible, but like I don't know, when you're in pain, it just makes you look at things different. And especially when you're emotional, it makes you look at things different, and when you're in pain and emotional, it makes you look at things really fucking differently. Um, so I don't know. Think about things sometimes. Things might always not always be the same that you see them. Um, you're looking at it from a different perspective as other people. Um, you know, talk to people, see how they see it, discuss it with them. Don't immediately assume the worst because some people are just stupid. Yeah, honestly, that's one of the things too is like even though I've talked about like some heavy stuff today and I've also cried a little bit, like afterwards I always feel better. It's like getting something off your chest. It gives you this sort of like freedom feeling, this like relief almost. Um, I think that like a lot of the time we hold our emotions in for a variety of reasons. For women, it's a lot of the time just because we're treated like shit if we have any sort of emotions. We're kind of treated like, oh, it's a woman, she's gonna cry. Oh, she's on her period, she's emotional. But like, fuck you. No, it's like I recently saw a Try Guys video. Okay, it was a video where they let me see if I can find it and I'll post it in chat. It was a video where they tested having their period and like having period cramps, which like it's not the first time they've done something like that. I think they did a video where they like tested like what it would be like to have a baby. Um but like for this one, they specifically they specifically yeah, right, jokes on them, I'm always emotional. They specifically went through like a full day of being on their period. And like one of the guys just kept like bending over and he was like, "Why does it feel so comfortable to be in this position?" And it's like, "Welcome to my world." Like people think that it doesn't hurt. They think that it's not that bad, but like watching the video and seeing them experience it for the first time as adult men and being like, no, women can't be feeling this every month. Like it opens your eyes to the fact that shit sucks. Um shit sucks a lot. And it's okay that it sucks. And like on top of like the pain that we're experiencing, like and the pain that they experience, they didn't even get to experience all the other things that like go along with your period. Like period shits, they didn't have to experience like the depression or the sadness or any of the sort of emotional side of it. So they got the easy end of the stick and they were already like dying. So so like fuck everyone who says women are emotional. But honestly, I do think it's important sometimes to just let your emotions out because we're kind of taught in our lives to hold them in and to just kind of like keep them quiet. Just kind of like keep living in the way that we're living and not discuss any of that, not bring it up, not like have discussions about things that are uncomfortable. But I don't agree with that. I think it's really important to discuss these things that are uncomfortable, to listen to other people talk about them, to like talk about them with your friends. Talk about the pay gap. Talk about how you're mistreated at work because of your race or gender. Talk about student loan bullshit. Talk about politics and how shitty like white supremacy is and how we're like living in this shitty world. Talk about those things. Even if you're not an expert in it, just voice how you feel, like because I swear there are so many people out there who are feeling the exact same thing and just don't know how to put it into words. And when you have those discussions with those people, it's such a relief to feel that somebody understands you and to be able to kind of empty that glass that you've been holding inside of your body, filled with emotions, filled with thoughts and fears and concerns, and allow you to like have more space to fill it up in the future because you're gonna have to fill it up because like shit sucks. But it gives you that sort of temporary relief of feeling like somebody understands and that you're not alone. And I think that's important. I don't know. I know that might be like very like squishy emotional woman things. But I think men and women alike, non-binary, transgender, whatever you are, if you identify as a cat, I talk about your feelings with people, talk about things that bother you, even if you're just talking to nothing. Like that's the reason I stream in the first place, is sort of so I can talk about all of these things that are in my head and in my body and that I'm feeling all the time that I can't voice very well when I'm talking to a person face to face. It gives me that freedom and that feeling of finally being able to get those things out and feel okay. So, talk to people. Um, Even if you just talk to yourself or write it down somewhere. I have a Discord and I have a secret channel in it. The secret channel is called Jesse's Notes because I don't want anyone to know that it's just like my rage channel where I go and type angry messages to be able to get them out of my body. But, do it up. Who's gonna fucking stop you? But yeah, that's all for today, guys. I'm sorry that I failed my Risk of Rain run, but we'll do it again another day. Maybe tomorrow we'll play that game that I talked about today, Venba. Actually, let me let me die. Let me die right now. Let me buy it right now, so I don't forget and download it. But also, let me die right now. I'm sorry, I'm the worst. Okay, I added it to my cart. I purchased for myself. I am installing it. But yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I love you guys. Bye.